Welcome to this new Addon Spotlight. In this Addon Spotlight we're going to look at the Gloster Meteor F Mk. The aircraft itself was developed around 1940, but in 1943 it was first going airborne due to the fact that there were some challenges with the engines. So it was part of the 616 squadron from the RAF. And yeah, let's see what it is, right? It's I would say it was a successful combat fighter. And it's now available for Flight Simulator 2020 for free. And you will find the download link in the description of this video. So let's have a close look at the details. Well, if we look at this detail, I'd say I'm very happy, right? You can see that they spent quite some time on developing the outside, right? So there's a lot of work being done to make the aircraft looking really nice. It looks like that there are some let's say covers on the back of the engine, but not sure about that. When we look from the front, you can see that a special, I would say, charge engine is attached to it. Also a special bar here. It looks like that the engines are closed to avoid that, I would say, dust or something gets in. So this looks cool. From the top you can see the pilot seat, also nicely modeled. And if we would turn around and I would say decrease the altitude, we come closer to it and we can go into the cockpit. But before doing that, oh, this is also really cool, really detailed, right? Even now it's the labels on the back of the seat are there. So switch to a different mode to make it easier for me, for myself also. So we've got a few things which we can look at. We can look at the brake pressure. We can see the throttle. We can also see that there is still some work to do, but again, it still is in development. But it's already released, right? So we can already start, I would say, playing around with it, or flying around with it, I should say. A lot of buttons here. A lot of gauges here for the Mach, for the speed, right? The knots, the altitude, the direction which we're flying, the flaps, landing gear buttons are working. Then we've got the engine fuel switch to cut the fuel, the starters, although the starters looks like that you can't click them. Then when we go to the other side, we can see the degrees of turn, the RPMs for the engines, the climb rate, of course. Here we can see another compass. And then here we can see the standby altitude indicator. It has a heading alt and autopilot switch, right? So you can switch those or use those switches. So you can also easily set the autopilot. Probably that's something we need to figure out, how we can define the altitude then, and also figure out how we can set the heading. We've got a speed brake here, which is not functioning yet. Then on the right side, we've got a nice options like the oxygen level, as it looks like, but it's not switched on, or not, I would say, modeled. And here we've got some other buttons which are all related to lights. It looks like that some of them are modeled, some of them require some more attention. Also the back planes do require some attention. Here we've got the guns, RP guns, I'm not sure what it is. For VFR only, and then we here have the gyro, and then if we turn around we can see the seat, and then we're back to the brakes. On the bottom you can see the fuel tanks, or on, yeah, not really on the bottom, but below the altitude meters. You've got some buttons to adjust the lights, but you can see that some of them are not working yet. Hopefully that will be fixed in the future. So let's go to the outside again, right? Because we always want to check if the flaps, etc. are turning nicely. So we're gonna switch to that. So this is the rudder, the vertical rudders. The paints are working. If we adjust the flaps, I don't see much happening as we speak, but that could be because we didn't start the engine yet, right? So there's no hydraulic pressure on that. So that could be, I would say, normal. So let's see if we can start the engines, but before we're doing that, we're gonna check if there's a checklist. Unfortunately, there's no checklist yet, so we need to figure it out by ourselves. So let's start doing that, right? So there's always an easy way, right, to start the engines. Press the Control and the E key, and then it will do the things for you. But of course, we're not gonna do that because we're gonna try to fix it or to enable it. So here's the avionic master switch, as you can see. So there should be somewhere some batteries. So let's figure out where they are. Here we've got the lights. You would expect that the battery would be around here, right? Because normally the battery and the avionics master are pretty close to each other. We've got a few. And this is the electrical pane, as it looks like, because this is the different pane. It contains the stars, etc., but not the other options. So let's see. Where is it? Where is the battery? Because we can, of course, switch on this one. Did something happen? Yeah, something happened here, but it's not, I would say, really changing. So, question mark, where can we switch on the battery? Lights are here, fuel pumps are here. In that case, we're gonna do it the easy way, right? We're gonna press Ctrl and E, and you hear the engine starting. Not sure if the sound is good. You can also see that the covers are now removed, right? So the covers are removed both on the back and also on the front. You can see that there's some work also to be done when moving the camera, right? It's now a different color. It's cool. You can see that there's some heat now, right? That's really cool. So they spend time on those details. The pilot is also climbed into the aircraft. You can see that one of the engines is already, I would say, a little bit further compared to the other one, right? The other one is around 20 RPM. So it's 20,000 RPM. The other one is raising. Still climbing. Probably it should be around 60 and then it should be fine, right? You can see that this one stabilizes now. These are the flaps. These are the fuel controls, which are currently open. So we can switch on some lights if we want. For example, we can switch on the taxi lights, the nav lights, small freeze, landing lights. So let's see if the lights are burning on the aircraft. Not yet. Maybe we just switch them off. Maybe they were already on. Or maybe it simply doesn't work yet. Well, let's not pay too much attention to the lights. Let's see if we can fly with this one. So we're gonna remove the parking brakes. Watch out for the fuel truck. So let's drive. So you can see that it's, I would say, it's a cool aircraft, but there is some work in progress, which I would say does not prevent you from flying with it. But it's kind of, I would say, it would be nice if they would have would update that in the future. Again, no pressure for the developer, right? They already provided this for free. So be aware of that. let's not take the shortcut, because probably isn't that good. Where's the runway, guys? Or was it, let's say, the runways in the... It's not a tarmac runway. Probably it is. There's the taxi. So it's always easy, right, to have a drone on board. So we continue our trip. So at least the button of the flaps works. The other thing which you would expect is that both flaps would switch up and down, and it looks like that only one of them does, as you can see, right? So you can see that one of the handlers is up now, but the other one is... oh, that's the landing gear. My bad. I was thinking that this also would be the flaps. So it's now at 0%. Now it's at 10. And you can see the flaps indeed, right? So if you would go a little bit lower, you can see that here are the flaps. The idea was just cycling around or taxiing around the runway. Because I do think that if we would open the map, we would probably see that we're driving in parallel to the runway. That's always the easy way, right? So I'm gonna check this, and this in the middle is the runway, as it looks like. So we're gonna close it, and then we're gonna simply, between brackets, simply arrive here, and then we're gonna take off. I really wonder how it will work, taking off from a, let's say, non-tarmac runway. So we set the flaps, right, as you can see. So let's go full steam ahead. Push back the stick. Gears up. And we're flying. So this is from the outside, right? You can see that the aircraft is a little bit bumpy. So we already overstressed the aircraft, which is not good. So let me start now from, I would say, tarmac runway. Maybe I simply pushed it too far, right? Can be. Let's take off from a normal airport. Let's do runway 8 Lima from, oh, let's take this one. 8 Romeo from Honolulu International Airport. Let's give it another try to see if we can, I would say, fly with it.
Honolulu Tower Air Force 007 07 ready at runway 8 right, departing straight out.
So let's hit Control W. According to the developer, it shoots something. Oh yeah, cool. Now we can look from the outside. So if we now would go to the outside, you can see that the glass, which normally protects the, let's say, pilot, can be opened. And you can close it again with Control W. Now it closes. So let's go inside. Let's focus and see if we can take off, and hopefully we can fly a little bit longer. We go airborne. You can see the weather is a little bit foggy. Let's reduce the engine power a bit, because I think that might be have been the issue.
Airport 007 leaving my airspace, frequency change approved. Honolulu Tower Airport 007 frequency change.
You can see that the lights are not aligned yet to the wings. Right, you can see the green light there. So we're flying now. So now let's switch on the autopilot. You can see nice a light starts to burn. So let's switch on the alt, because I'm really curious what it does. It looks like that it's keeping the altitude as we currently are flying, right? I'm wondering what happens if we activate the heading, if it will fly straight or it will start to turn. So what it looks like is that it will keep the current heading which you're flying, right? And the same thing is for the altitude. It will simply keep this altitude which you're flying while activating the setting. Well, that's nice, right? Then you at least can say release the keys. Here it is, right? You can see the light for the, I would say the strobe is a little bit on, yeah, it's a little bit weird, because you would expect it to be blinking here, but it looks like it's, at least when looking from a distance, it looks like it's somewhere here, or is this the different light on the wing? Because on the wing you can see we also have a green light. And red light here, but it's pretty hard to see if they are burning, yes or not. So here we go, right? So what do you need to do to increase altitude? Well, then you probably need to disable the altitude, disable the autopilot, because it looks like that you can't disable the altitude. So let's switch off both the settings. You can, it looks like you can change the heading and switch it off, but you can't switch off the altitude. So here we fly again. Don't want to stress the aircraft too much, because I'm a little bit afraid that then it will, let's say hey, you overstress the aircraft. And that's of course not what we want to do. So speed brake has not been set, right? Let's see, it's not set. So there's the island, so let's fly back to it. Of course we're going to use the autopilot. you can see that it directly activates the altitude. And then you can switch off the altitude. Here we have the speed brake, right? So normally the speed brake is used to, let's say, decrease the speed of the aircraft while flying. You can see that there's a speed brake level here, so let's see if it works. It looks like we can't. At least I can't move it, but maybe it's me. No. It's not working yet, so probably it will be fixed in, let's say, more recent release. So flaps are now pushed up. We didn't do that. Here we can see the inner marker, outer marker, or sorry, inner marker, middle marker, and outer marker, right? So you can see directly after we switched off the flaps, the aircraft starts wobbling. So that's one thing you need to take into account. That if you're pushing the flaps, I would say if you're setting the flaps in standard mode, which is I would say the 0 mode, then avoid that the aircraft will start to, let's say, act weird, right? What you just saw, like it's wobbling a bit. Because if that happens, then you will overstress the aircraft, which I did for the second time. So here ends this review of this aircraft. It's a nice aircraft. It's an aircraft with a manual, right? You don't need to overstress it. Be careful with that. Use the flaps to, let's say, minimize the speed, because it looks like if as soon as you lift the flaps, then one of the other things which you probably need to do is decrease the throttle so that it doesn't start to flap around. Hope you like this video. If you want to download this aircraft, you can find the link in the description of this video. Again, I hope you liked this video. If you liked it, then consider to use the like button. If you've got questions or comments, then feel free to drop them in the comment box below. And if you want to stay up to date about new videos I'm posting, then consider subscribing to my channel. Thanks for watching and see you next time.